Hi guys, this is Caesar, Book 5, Chapter 47. At this point, Caesar has finally become aware of the fact that Cicero's men are under attack by the Gauls. So this is all preparation to come to the aid of Cicero, and at the moment Caesar is gathering up legions to bring along. So let's get into it. Ora Circiter tertia ab ante cursoribus de crassi adventu certior factus eo diem milia passuum vienti procedit. So around the third hour, Caesar, having been informed, remember this idiom really means like made more certain, but having been informed is the correct way to translate that. Having been informed by the vanguard about the arrival of Crassus, procedit, he went forth with the subject still being Caesar. So he went forth 20 miles on that day. So Caesar is the subject of these verbs. Praefecit means to put in command of. So Caesar put Crassus in command of Samarabriva, and he assigned to him a legion, and then quote, because there, and then we go all the way down here to find the main verb, relinquebat. He was leaving these things. He was leaving the baggage of the army, the hostages from the tribes, official papers, and all the grain which he had transported to that place, Eo. And then here we have a gerundive expressing purpose. So this would be translated as for the sake of enduring the winter. So essentially what this is saying is that Caesar left his things and his men's things in Samarabriva. When talking about the hostages, this refers to Caesar taking relatives of Gallic leaders so that these leaders wouldn't cause trouble because they'd be scared that Caesar would harm their relatives. So before we begin, there's a few things to note here. The subject changes to Fabius and then to Labienus later on, and then ut here is translated just as. So Fabius, as it had been ordered, and by saying this, Caesar reminds the reader that he remains in control of the situation. So Fabius, as it had been ordered, thus having delayed not much, non multum, occurrit here, main verb, he met Caesar implied on the journey with a legion. And then here we have Labienus, and then we come into an abab. With the death of Sabinus and the slaughter of the cohorts having been learned, cognita, since all of the forces, omnes copiae, of the Treverni had come towards him, since it's accusative, you would translate that as towards instead of to, having feared Veritas, that, and then we start a fear clause, if he set out, so like made a setting out, but set out is kind of a better way to say that, similar to flight from the winter camps, he will not be able to endure the attack of the enemy. Praesertim especially, quos refers back to the enemies whom he knew were elated, passive verb, by the recent victory. So just a note on fecissat, this is a pluperfect subjunctive verb, but with the C fecissat and the non-possessed following, This means that Caesar is making sort of a hypothetical. So in that way, it could be translated as, if he will have set out, he will not be able to sustain the attack. So that's what that can be translated as. So remitted here is the main verb. He sent back to Caesar letters. And then here we get an indirect question, and this is all ablative of manner. So with how much danger, quanto periculo, he would lead out the legion. Note the aorist makes it would lead out from winter camps. And then prescribit here, he reported, and then if you want to translate this literally, like the thing done, or it can be translated as he reported what happened in the territory of the Eburones. And then docet here, he taught that all of the horsemen and foot soldiers and troops of the Treveri had established themselves 3 miles away, tria milia passum longe, from his own camp. So what happened here is that Labienus could not join Caesar and the other legions due to the fact that he was essentially surrounded by the enemy, and it would have been dangerous for him to try to go to the aid of Caesar and the legions. So now we've learned that Caesar has gathered 2 legions to go and help Cicero and his men. So we're just going to have to see what happens in the next chapter. This was Caesar, Book 5, Chapter 47. I hope you enjoyed.